Hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
And hell hath cometh. Again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. With the transfer portal, as we have breaking news for my team, Alabama, as well as going over the fact that it seems like nobody's safe in this transfer portal hell that is upon us in college football. There's going to have to be something done, man. First of all, I think before I get into all of it, but the first thing and foremost, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this transfer portal window that they have open right now needs to be closed. They need to put it somewhere else because there's all this doing is destroying the postseason. Even the playoff teams are having issues at this point. When it starts affecting the playoffs, well, then you're going to have issues. But I'm going to go ahead and give our Four Horsemen shout-outs of the day. I'm going to start doing that on the live streams as well. So I'll just try some things a little bit different today. Instead of just doing a podcast, just going here real quick and do a breaking news live stream. Just, pop in and surprise everybody in the Outlaw Posse. But here's the Four Horsemen shout-outs. Sean James, Mike Happy, Fred Bagley, and Enough is Enough. I'm mounted up and saddled up and ready to go. They're going to help us with Days College Football Invasion. Now, if you want to get your badge like they have a badge. They've been deputized. And if you want to get a random Four Horsemen shout-out like they just did, as well as possibly be the comment of the day, all you got to do is hit that join button over by the subscribe button. It's not $2.99 a month. That's just 75 cents a week. That's just a half a bottle of water for the Outlaw. And then you can just do the big four, which are all absolutely free. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Sharing and subscribing are most important. They help the algorithm, and they keep me in the good graces of those YouTube administrators. Now, let's go ahead and bring up the breaking news. This was coming from, bring this up for y'all. It's on Alabama. I got some more stuff other than just Alabama, by the way, so y'all don't just jump out of here thinking this is an Alabama-only show. But here it is. As you can see right here, from WVUA's Gary Harris. He is the sports editor, longtime sports editor for WVUA here on the campus, University of Alabama, and he's got a great talk show as well on Tide 100.9. Check it out if you get a chance. You can go online and check it out. It's a nice little talk show. Comes on at 9 a.m. every morning. But breaking news, according to various reports, Alabama defensive lineman Damon Payne, or Damon, whichever way you want to say it, Damon Payne, number 44, plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. Payne was a 5-star recruit and a top 50 player in the 2021 class. As you can see down here, already some Alabama fans are losing their noodle. Jeremy Rogers says, and the bleeding continues. And Jeremy Rogers follows that up with, you will start to see contracts with universities soon. The ROI isn't panning out that way. And I agree with what Jeremy is saying. And as you can see right here, make sure that I got this pulled up for y'all. All right. As you can see right here from also from Gary Harris, these are the 14 players that were already in the portal. Now it's 15 with Damon Payne, whatever. Here's a list of the Alabama players in the portal right now. You got Justin Haynes, running back, wide receiver Emmanuel Henderson. You see here Kobe Prentice, Caleb Odom, Kendrick Law, Naquel Bertrand, Miles McVay, Jaheim Otis, who, by the way, has committed to Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Jaheim wouldn't really get much playing time, so it ain't like that was a huge loss. Hunter Osborne, Kano Coat, Jaleel Hurley. These guys actually already committed. Jaleel Hurley to Kansas, and Devonta Smith is committed to Notre Dame. Dylan Lonergan, quarterback for Alabama, also transferred, as well as just here recently, I think yesterday, Jalen Mbakwe has all now transferred from Alabama. That's 15 total transfers from the University of Alabama. Sounds like a lot, right? But I'm telling you right now, it's not. compared to some people, man. I'm fixing to bring it up for y'all right now. Let's just go ahead and see who's in here already checking us out today. We have Ben Belcher in the house. Portal is crazy, says Ben Belcher. John Christophic says, what's up, Outlaw? What's up, John Christophic? He is our resident Pittsburgh Panther. How's Pittsburgh doing in the portal, by the way, John? Merk O says, how long do we give Coach Kalen DeBoer before we say he's not the guy? Hoping that he is, of course, but just asking hypothetically. I think we need to give him a lot more than just this year. Now, I watched the Aaron Torres show, and by the way, Aaron Torres has a pretty good channel as well. He also has a little, I think it's a little group or actually an account on Twitter that's CFB transfers. If y'all want to see a complete list of transfers and whatnot, go to CFB transfers on X. That's run by Aaron Torres. But Aaron Torres brought up a lot of good points in that while we have lost 15 players, that being Alabama, we sort of need to trim some of that fat because we got a great recruiting class coming in. That may be the saving grace for Kalen DeBoer. I think Alabama's previous class that he just signed ended up second or third in the nation. So you got to trim a little bit of fat anyway. So people that are losing their minds, losing their noodles and wetting their diapers out there, don't rash up. Alabama's probably going to be fine because 15 is basically the norm this year. Now, there's other teams that have had extraordinarily massive losses like Marshall, who lost 30 players and couldn't even compete in the bowl game, which is complete horse shit. Excuse my language. And for the SEC, Arkansas has lost 27 players. So, yeah. Luke Sikor says, Jalen Mbakwe is coming back. Well, I hope you're right. I haven't heard anything like that yet, Luke, but I hope you're right, brother. I hope you're right. I hope Jalen does come back to Alabama and decides to stay here. But what is all you guys and gals out there? What's y'all's thoughts on this whole transfer portal situation? Like I said earlier, I think they need to close the window that they got open right now. They need to take that and move it to the end of January and then reopen it in April instead of having it right now and then opening in April. Now, I think there may be a short period of a little grace period of time in there after the playoffs, but I'm not sure about that. But if it is, they just need to take whatever time they're using on this open window and put it in January. Don't even have a window right now because this is going to affect the bowl games specifically and even the playoff at this point. As you know, Penn State's backup quarterback transferred out because he said he needed to get with whatever team he's going to get with so he can learn their system and be present at their spring ball. If you wait till April, a lot of people have done their spring ball and their spring sessions for football. That's a valuable learning curve for a lot of players. So they're put in a bad position. Do they leave right now and leave the guys they busted their ass with all this season? Do they leave their boys? Or do they wait until April and lose the chance to learn the system that they're going to be going into in the future and maybe affect their future as a possible NFL prospect? Dale Sense in the house. Dale Sense says, hey, Outlaw, I am sitting in the chemo chair getting my treatment today. The dominoes will begin to fall for OU once Mateer makes it official. Dale Sent is also a member of the Outlaw Posse. As you can see right there, he has his badge. He is deputized. Dale Sent, how's it going for you, brother? The whole chemo thing, the whole cancer thing. Is your prospects looking good? Is things looking up for you? I hope so, brother, because that is a lot more important than what we're talking about today. But I do think that if John Mateer comes to Oklahoma, it may definitely impact Oklahoma going forward as far as them being able to actually snag some people out of the portal themselves. Luke Sikor says, this is horrible. All these kids aren't patient anymore. They don't want to wait their turn. All they care about is money now. They got a lot of people up in here already. We got over 55 people in here. If you want your comment read out, all you got to do is hit the little money dollar sign at the bottom, make a small donation. Click on that little money dollar sign. Make sure you write your comment first after you click on it. And then on the second click, then, send it, because you don't want to not get your money's worth and be some kind of blank donation. But yeah, just hit that money dollar sign, write your comment out, and then hit that click a second time. And it'll push yours to the top, and it will highlight your comment above all others, and I will read it out and answer your question first. TP Gurr 1 says, I believe the problem with the January portal is class starts and you need to be at school. Well, you're probably right technically about that, but let's not be naive here and thinking that all these kids are going to school to go to school. I mean, it's just a blatant truth that they could probably work around that somehow if they really had to. They really wanted to, because they always have. Everybody's up in arms over the whole transfer portal thing and players getting paid. But let's be honest with ourselves here. Most of the Blue Bloods since probably 1920 have been paying players. It just hasn't been legal. Now, what didn't happen back in the 1920s and 30s and so forth is the transfer portal. These players just up and leaving after one season or even a half a season and then coming back like we had with Caden Proctor at Alabama, that's going to have to stop, man. It gives them an unrealistic view of how they're going to handle things going forward as far as the NFL goes, and that being their career choice. Gives them a very unrealistic view of how things are going to go down when they get to the NFL, because the NFL, you have to sign a contract. You can't just up and leave. Can't decide, I don't like playing in Buffalo because the weather's bad and decide to go to Miami. Can't do that. And now I'm hearing rumors that Arch Manning is being offered a $30 million deal at North Carolina. This may be accurate. I'm not sure. My boy Jonathan Lewis just told me about it a few hours ago. Arch Manning is being offered $10 million a year for 3 years to go to North Carolina. At this point, if players are making that much money in college, why would they even worry about playing in the NFL? Just saying. I mean, you could go to college for 3 years like Arch Manning. He's already got money, by the way, but let's say he's not Arch Manning and he's somebody else. Let's say he's Jalen Milroe of Alabama. Ain't nobody going to offer Jalen Milroe that much. But let's say Jalen Milroe was a great player and as good as Arch Manning. And let's say Jalen Milroe was offered $10 million a year for 3 years. I would take that money. I would earn my money in college. You earn $10, $20, $30 million in college. Hell, if you just earn $2 or $3 million in college, you may not have to worry about going to the NFL and getting racked up and getting CTE and having all sort of kind of mental issues when you get in your 40s. You could just earn your money in college, and if you invest it right, you would never have to put your body through the rigors of the NFL. That right there may help start some kind of process where these players are held to be more accountable and there's not as much transfer portal stuff going on. Because if it's going to affect the NFL's going to be like, wait a minute. We're going to have to step in here and help the colleges and universities figure out a system to where people aren't losing their players every year and they're not throwing out all this crazy money, and help them set up some kind of rules or collective bargaining or something so that we're not losing our possible players in the future. Just saying. Dale Sent says it's going good, brother. I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful for you, brother. I'm glad you're still kicking it and fighting a good fight, brother. Keep fighting that good fight, Dale Sent. Spot the ball, outlaw. I think that's West Virginia, ain't it? You a West Virginia fan? That's a Rich Rodriguez catchphrase, right? John Christophic follows that up with players should be required to sign 1-year contracts. I agree. They should be required to sign contracts, but 1 year is not enough. I think they should be required to sign at least 2 years. And a lot of these players that are staying over for their bowl games, like the Jalen Milrows of the world, among others, Cam Ward is staying for the Iowa State game. I think a lot of these guys, people think, oh, man, let's give them a pat on the back. They're staying with their brothers that they fought with all year long, and that is a good thing. But I think it might be a little misleading, the fact that some of these players are staying for the bowl games and staying for the playoffs because behind the scenes they got their little secret contracts with their NIL deals that say, hey, if we give you X amount of dollars for your NIL contract, well, then you've got to stay through the postseason. If not, we're going to take the money away from you. There again comes the NFL in, maybe. Caleb Williams will be a good example. The Chicago Bears don't want their investment hurt. So behind the scenes, they tell Caleb Williams, hey, man, if you don't play in that bowl game, and if you have like an obligation of $2 or $3 million obligation, we'll just buy that out. We'll pay them off for you, and you set out that bowl game. I think that may be a problem in the future. The NFL may start telling players to set out the playoffs because they don't want their future prospect damaged in the playoffs. What do y'all think about that? I'm going to bring something else up for y'all real quick just to share this, just to give y'all a rundown of what's going on in college football and college football transfer portal hell. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if that's the one I want. Here's the graph I want right here. Excuse me. There it is right there. The total players in the transfer portal. Right here. Total players in the transfer portal. As you can see here, as of Sunday, 12/15/2024, and this has probably changed already. I know it has for Alabama. We've went up from 13 to 15. So unless Florida's had some players go into the portal, we have now passed Florida and Auburn, and we're up there with Vanderbilt and closing in on LSU. Arkansas has 27 players in the portal. I don't even know how they're competing in the bowl game. They're gonna be like Marshall, and they're gonna dip out. Mississippi State has 24. By the way, the one bright spot, and here's the bad thing, the one bright spot for Mississippi State and their fans this past year, and Jeff Lebby, is that they had a pretty good quarterback in Van Buren. Very, very good quarterback that looked like he had a bright future, even at Mississippi State. Well, he leaves Mississippi State after 1 year, and he goes to LSU. That's the kind of shit that's got to stop. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's the stuff where you need to have at least a 2-year contract in place. I know all these universities don't want to acquiesce to the whole pay-for-play thing, but you've been doing it since 1920. It's just been on the down low. So let's stop being naive here, and let's start paying these players like they're temporary employees or something. Oklahoma has 21 in the portal, so Oklahoma's been hit pretty hard. Texas A&M has 20, Kentucky has 20, LSU 16, Vanderbilt 15, Auburn 14, Florida 14, Alabama 13, and on down and so forth. And it's sort of odd how this works out, the numbers here. As you can see, there's a theme here. The teams that are still in the playoffs are the teams that have the best records. Teams with the better records don't seem to be having as much portal movement. Captain Obvious, I know, but it works out exactly like that. As you can see, Georgia is probably the highest ranked SEC team right now, followed by Texas. Ole Miss, probably one of the better teams in the conference. That's debatable between them and Alabama. Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, all those teams were in contention late in the season for a playoff berth. So there's that. Merc O says UNC should go after Carson Beck. He'd be cheaper, and he has some Brady-ish qualities that BB can work with, says Merc O. Yeah, Carson Beck would probably be cheaper, but isn't Carson Beck declaring for the NFL draft, Mirko? I think Carson Beck may be declaring for the NFL draft. Now, I could be wrong because he didn't really have a stellar year this year. That's another thing, another topic for another day, maybe. But I think they should do away with conference championship games because I made a podcast before the conference championship game about 3 weeks ago saying basically that Texas and Georgia should sit all their players and just play their third and fourth strings. Because what if somebody gets injured that affects them in the playoffs, like a Carson Beck? And what happened? Boom, shakalaka, boom. I felt like Nostradamus. Carson Beck gets injured. None of that, but they're starting punter. I was talking about that the other night with Justin Johnson of NIL Commish. He has a great podcast too, mostly Oklahoma stuff. Check it out. But I was talking with him about it the other night, and he's like, "Oh, punter, that's really devastating." It really is. People laugh about it, but you need a punter if you're deep in your own territory and you need to flip the field. So losing your starting punter is not something that you should sneer at or think it's not a big deal, because it's absolutely a big deal. Larry Trawicki said, didn't con time, you forgot to say con time, Larry. Con time, Deion Sanders. Start all this portal crap, roll damn corn roll. Well, I don't know if we can blame this one on con time. I think this was already percolating and this stuff was already going on, brother. But con time actually got Jaheim Otis from Alabama, but he also lost a all-conference linebacker. So Deion's feeling the bang too. Everybody's feeling the bang on this, except for the teams that are higher up. Like the Ohio States and Georgias of the world right now. They're not feeling it as much because they are in line for maybe to win a national championship. But that's going to change really soon, I think. I think that, like I said, man, the NFL is going to start saying, hey, we don't want our prospect, our future investment getting injured. So we're going to sort of maybe bribe them in a way not to play in the playoffs. I could definitely see that happening in the future. What do y'all think? Mirko says Carson Beck's stock has fallen off a good bit and he injured his shoulder, so it could happen. Brian Johnson says Bill Belichick won't be as good as some think. Just getting a few comments here from the gallery to include everybody, because this is the home of the Common Joe and the Common Sally in the Know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Brian Johnson says, I don't know, but Contime got like 40-plus commits from the portal last year. Yeah, he did, but he also lost a bunch of players too. So I don't know, man. It's just you got to lose a few anyway. Where Alabama's at is about average. Now, where Oklahoma and Arkansas are at, Brian, you're right. That's way too many players to be losing in one cycle. Sam Ventura's in the house. I think it should be a 4-year contract, says Sam. Yeah, I could agree with that. If they're getting paid for 4 years, then yeah, that would be fair. Whether it's 2, 3, or 4 years, or even like John Christophic said earlier, a 1-year contract, there needs to be some kind of contract. So you can't just up and leave in the middle of the year like Caden Proctor did to Iowa. He went to Alabama, played for Alabama for a whole season. In the offseason, he left and went to in the portal. Caden Proctor went to Iowa, and then when the portal came back around, he went back to Alabama. That's the kind of stuff that's just got to stop, man. We got to have some contracts. We got to stop being naive and goody and saying, oh, it's supposed to be about the kids going to school and getting a great education. Y'all stop, man. Stop with that stuff. I agree. It would be nice in a perfect world that if people were going to college to get an education. But most of these players, honestly, they're not doing that. They're going there because they want to pursue their dream in their career of their choice, which is being an NFL player. Nothing wrong with that. But, it's just like anything. The university has plenty of employees. I mean, so our student athletes that are working. It's just that football and basketball, men's basketball, they've always had it held to a double standard of some sort where they couldn't really work or anything, man. So I agree with the players getting paid, but I think there needs to be a limit and a salary cap or collective bargaining or something in place. This is just too wild, man. This goes from one extreme to the other. They go from not getting paid to getting paid way too much. It's just crazy. I'll bring up these transfer portal things here real quick for y'all. Let's see what we got here. All right. As of December 17th, it says Alabama loses yet another defensive player to the portal. And we already know about that. That's Jalen Mbakwe. And today they lost Damon Payne, whatever, however you pronounce his name. Now they lost him. Auburn added former USC offensive tackle Mason Murphy. And they also got Jackson Arnold. It says here Colorado landed Jaheim Otis from Alabama, as I already touched upon. But if you read down here, you can also see where Colorado, going down here for y'all, it says Penn State lands one of the best wide receivers. Well, good for Penn State. Now, everybody's getting good news now, aren't we? Colorado loses an all Big 12 linebacker to the transfer portal. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Nakai Hill-Green has entered the transfer portal for a third time in his college career. Green started with Charlotte, went over to Michigan for 2 seasons, was at Colorado this past year. So he went from Charlotte to Michigan to Colorado, and now he's going to go somewhere else. That's 4 times. It's not giving him a realistic view of his career choice, the NFL. He even makes the NFL. That's another thing, for another topic for another day. But you go to the NFL, man, you can't move teams every 4 years unless there's a trade, unless the team that you're leaving gets something in return. That's the thing. A lot of these teams are losing these players, investing all this time and scholarships in these players, and then they get them just snatched away from them, and they don't get anything in return. And my team, Alabama, we've been doing that to teams for the past couple of years, and now it's being done back to us, and it don't feel too good, does it? It says high-profile quarterback transfer Malik Murphy is visiting one SEC school. Multiple reports have indicated that he is in Lexington, Kentucky, visiting Mark Stoops and the Wildcats. If you remember, I think Malik Murphy was actually the guy that was at one time in front of Arch Manning and then slipped behind him on the Texas roster. But that's just a few little notes here and there about the transfer portal madness, the drama, the hell that we're in right now as college football fans, man. It's got to be something done, man. It's got to be something done for our sport that we love so much. I don't know what it is. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so maybe y'all can break it down when this thing goes to podcast. When I get off of here, this live stream will go to podcast. Maybe y'all can throw some ideas in the comment section. Maybe you can throw some ideas towards your administration. Maybe you can send letters to NCAA. I don't know, man. But we got to do something to change the way this is done. So, see if we got any more good comments. Brian Johnson says it's pretty easy to decipher which SEC school it was offered. Material, $1.5 million. I don't know why they wrote it like they don't know who it was. By the way, excuse me, Jalen Mbakwe, who just left Alabama, the rumor has it that Lane Kiffin of Ole Miss offered Jalen Mbakwe a 7-figure payout to come to Ole Miss. So if he ends up at Ole Miss, again, it's money, right? My question is, why didn't Alabama outbid him? Just saying. But, yeah, I just want to jump in here real quick and touch base with y'all on the college football transfer portal hell that we're in. With that, I'm going to get out of here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Please share me out to all your friends. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers. That's a huge milestone for any channel. Also, you can join the Outlaw Posse. As you can see, many people in here with the badges. Killer Breeze, Dale Sin, among others. If you want to be an Outlaw Posse, it's just $2.99 a month. That's just 75 cents a week. That's just a half a bottle of water for the Outlaw. And you'll get your badge, you get deputized, you get random Four Horsemen shout out on the actual podcast and the live stream, as well as we did today, as well as possibly the comment of the day. KMCA to all the other teams, class is now officially dismissed.